This is the big story of how God helped his special people, Israel, come back to him and start fresh. First, a long time ago, God's people didn't listen to him, so he had to send them away. They were taken far away from their home and had to stay in a strange land called exile. They were sad because they missed their home and God's temple. They remembered God's promise that they would stay away for 70 years, and they counted each day, waiting and hoping for God to help them. Then, something amazing happened. God used a new king named Cyrus, who didn't even believe in God, to help his people. Cyrus heard God's voice in his heart and decided to let the Israelites go back home. He told them, "Go rebuild your temple and your city." The Israelites were surprised and happy. They started packing their things and getting ready for a long journey back home. They knew it was God's special plan. When they arrived, they saw the ruins of their beautiful temple. But they didn't give up. The first thing they did was build an altar, a special place where they could offer sacrifices to God and say thank you. They built it on the leftover stones from their old temple. And when they did, fire from heaven came down and lit the sacrifices. It was a sign that God still loved them and was with them. They cheered and worshipped God, happy that he was helping them. Some people were very sad because they remembered how grand Solomon's temple used to be. They cried because this new temple was small and simple. But others were so happy. They shouted and danced because God was making all things new. It was a mix of tears and joy, but everyone knew God was doing something wonderful. Next, a very smart man named Ezra came to help. Ezra loved God's words and wanted everyone to remember what God said. He read the Bible out loud so everyone could hear. When they heard God's words, they realized they needed to change and follow him better. They promised to obey God's rules again. And they made a special promise called a covenant. They said, "We will serve God and do what he says. We will stay away from things that make us forget him." They signed their promises with big hearts, saying they wanted to be close to God forever. Later, the people also promised to be kind and fair to each other. They said, "We will support the temple and obey God's rules." They wanted to be good friends and good neighbors. They knew that if they listened to God's words, he would bless them with happiness and good things. But if they didn't listen, bad things could happen. So they promised to stay close to God and do what was right. One important rule they remembered was to be careful about who they spent time with. They knew that if they made friends who didn't love God, it could be bad for them. So they promised, "We will not marry people who don't believe in God, because we want to stay close to him and keep our hearts pure." And so, the story shows us that when God's people listen to him, follow his rules, and promise to love him, he helps them become stronger, happier, and new again. Just like how God helped Israel come back from being far away, he wants us to stay close to him too. When we do, he makes our lives full of love, joy, and new beginnings. That's how God's big story of love and hope goes on forever.